big and clear with your beautiful butterfly. Okay.
Mute. Am I unmuted now?
You are unmuted. I am going to go ahead and mute you just for your introduction so that make sure that everybody can hear it, and then I'll unmute you. Let's see, everyone is muted. Okay, great. All right. So it's time to start. We have our financial planner today, Armond Croom, and very lucky to have him today. He is a financial planner and a blogger with the blog The Financial Effect, which you can see on your screen. Also a father of three beautiful daughters. Um, Armand's experience in the US Navy, where he attended nuclear power school and managed a $1 million operation on the USS Nimitz, taught him the valuable skills and strategies he employs every day as a financial advisor. Armand has been a trusted financial advisor for 15 years and is the owner of Croom Financial. He is passionate about providing people with different investment options so that they can achieve their goals and meet their dreams. He believes that personalized service is essential when matching clients with the right financial needs. And today we are so lucky to have Armand sharing about his blog, The Financial Effect, and discussing ways that you can create your financial wellness using your daily choices. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Armand, and I'm going to send the floor over to you.
Whoa. All right. Cool. Glad to be here. Glad to be having a good conversation with you guys. Thank you so much for the introduction. I feel like it's not even deserved, but I appreciate being here and appreciate the invite and introducing you guys to the financial effect, and hope some of you guys end up wanting to follow and see what we have and join the discussion. So one of the first things that I want to talk to you guys about is the fact that today, what is not on the agenda is investments, setting up trusts, or life insurance. That's not on the agenda today. I won't be talking to you guys about standard deviations and what, the difference is between a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. What I will be discussing today is the kitchen table issues that will put you in the best position possible to be the best you can be, to focus on money, self-improvement, and the well-being of your family. And that's pretty much what the blog is about, is just helping everyone make those hard decisions of, when to buy a car, when to buy a house, how to prepare for having that new baby, and making it so that it's not stressful on your money. And I believe that if it's stressful with your money, if you're stressed out about money, it takes away from you being a better parent, a better person, a better husband, a better father, better mother, better wife. And so we're going to get into that. But the first place that we're going to really start is pretty much where we all start, which is, we get a job, or we graduate college and we get a job, and it's time to set up our budget. And as a single person, our budget looks a little bit like this. We get a check, then we spend a check, and then we wait for the next check. Right. And so sometimes maybe we're a little short, maybe it's the 23rd of the month and we have $0 in the bank account. And typically when you're single, you can have a ramen noodle weekend. You can not go out as much. You can control your expenses so easily when you are single. But eventually some of us end up getting married, and our finances, our budgeting doesn't change too much. You still get a check, maybe two checks. You both spend the money, and then you both wait for the next check. But something changes. You end up yelling at each other about who spent the money, right? Like, it's your fault. No, it's my fault. No, this, that, the other. Well, if you hadn't bought this. And so what that does is it takes away from your ability to, think about the other things in your life. Now, the first scenario, that I talked about, being single, you control your finances. So it's kind of like being a golfer, right? When you do a bad shot, you can cuss yourself out, you blame yourself. But Once you get married, you're more like LeBron James in game one of the NBA finals, looking at J.R. Smith talking about, what are you doing? What were you thinking? While your kids are listening in the background, wondering why mommy and daddy are fighting. So, uh, so basically, money is a stressor, no doubt about it. Um, and when you're stressed about money, you can't do self-improvement things. You can't focus on your family improvement. But what you do focus on is money, bills, and what are you going to do to fix those things? And it's easy to fall into that marriage toxic mentality of, well, it's your fault, it's my spouse's fault, or thinking, if I was single, I would be able to have a ramen noodle weekend to get myself out of trouble. But instead, you want to take the kids to the zoo, or you want to do this, that, and the other. And we negative, or thinking to yourself, if I was still single, I could just go live with my mama. And, if it got really bad, get my money right and come out of it. And, when you have a family, that is just not an option anymore. At least I don't think it's an option anymore. I haven't discussed it with my wife, whether or not moving in with my mama is a viable thing. So, in all my years of working with people, I got to tell you that one of the things I never really can put the blame on anybody, not one person, right? That is not something I normally can do. What I can tell you is typically we either marry like our opposite, right? So someone in the relationship is a spender and someone is a saver, right? So every once in a while we'll get the unicorn where they're both savers and like out trying to outdo each other. And then sometimes, which they end up never hiring me, you get two spenders who just like to spend, spend, spend. But typically what I end up happening is you get a spender and a saver. And I know you guys think you know what that means, but we're going to go in that a little bit or venture down that road. So a spender for me is obviously someone who is going to spend the money, but usually the spender is not like, I don't want you to think the spender is an evil person. Usually the spender is the one who is trying to create experiences for your family, trying to take those vacations, trying to enhance the child's, life and things, mold what they think about the world. They don't want to be just in the house every day. They want to create memories. There's nothing wrong with that. And the saver is someone who is usually impeding that in some ways. They just want to make sure that they're
Mhm.
not living in a van down by the river, right? Like that is like their biggest thing. They just don't want to live in a van down by the river. So, but they don't have in their mind, like how much money do they need to actually save? Like what, they'll be sitting with $50,000 in their account and they like to think about DuckTales in their head when they log in their bank account and see all their money and swim in it. And so they don't want to take the big vacation because, you're going to deplete my $50,000. So I would say both of them, we have to find a balance between the two of those typically, right? And so typically one of the first things when people come into my office, the very first thing we do is set up a budget. And I will tell you, a budget will make you a better spouse. It will make you a better father and a better mother. Now, I know some of you are thinking, what you talking about, Willis? Like really, seriously? And I tell you, my wife loves me every day, every time I show her my budget. Like it's just a magical. That's a lie. That's not true. However, let, let's just assume, let me take you to a place where you don't really have to talk to your wife or your husband about money, right? The boundaries have been set, right? You know how much money you have for travel. You know how much money you have to spend on child activities. You know how much money you have to spend for the month. And you guys are just on the same page and you don't have to worry about money. When I work with people in my financial planning practice, I want you to enjoy life. Like I want the spender to know how much money he or she has to do the cool stuff. Like what is the point of life if you can't do cool stuff? Like I mean that's what life is all about. but there's got to be a boundary. There's got to be a number that so that the saver is not breathing in a brown paper bag, hyperventilating. Like, you spent how much on what? So for what experience? I don't know if that experience is worth it. I don't. So there has to be a place, a safe place that we can get to between a husband and wife. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Okay. Here are the facts. We are going through a strenuous economic time right now, right? At the moment, people are losing jobs. People are, not having to stay home. We're having to do daycare work and wear like multiple hats during the day, and mentally we're tired. And you're also worried about money. But let me ask you a question. Were you prepared for this? Now, I know some of you are looking at me wondering, how was I supposed to be prepared for a pandemic virus that takes over the world? I'm not really talking about that. I mean, I wasn't prepared for the virus taking over the world, so I'm not saying that. But should you have been prepared for the next recession? Now, the last recession happened in 2008. A recession happens usually around every 10 years or so. So from 2018 to now, even when you read articles and things of that nature, people were mentally preparing for the recession to happen. And so if you were prepared for the recession, then you should have been prepared for this. And I'm not saying this to knock on you. I just want you to take an honest assessment of your situation so that when we get out of this, that you know to be better prepared. So, you have to ask yourself, did you have enough emergency savings? My recommendation typically is at least $5,000 or above. Did you have your credit cards paid off? Did you have credit card debts? And if you did have credit card debts, did your budget allow for that? And basically what I'm asking is, were you living below your means? If the answer is no to any of that, then you weren't prepared. And so when we get out of this, maybe, you can start working on the budget that I'm going to talk to you guys about a little bit more. And so that when this happens, you're a little bit more comfortable with taking care of your family. And basically, your number, what money you need to bring in order to keep your family moving and going. Because honestly, especially being a father of 3 girls and going through this, it's comforting to know that my children, aren't worried about the lights being turned off, not worried about food being on the table or anything along those lines. They know that the world is changing around them. They see me and their mom, watching the news and discussing it every night. But as far as our living and things that goes, it's comforting that we don't have to fight about money right now. As me being the financial leader, I'm able to make the appropriate adjustments to our budget so that my spouse and my children don't have to really think about it so much. They need to get what they need to need. And if they can find some toilet paper, we can buy some toilet paper, So now there are some things out there that's coming across the pipeline. Obviously, if you've got unemployment insurance that you can apply for, we have the Paycheck Protection Program that is out there. If you're a small business owner right now, you can apply for. We have the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. If you haven't heard about that, that's a $10,000 grant that will give you to kind of bridge the gap. And if you're using it for the right things, it's basically free $10,000. So if you are a business owner right now, you certainly, again, can go to my website or hit me up on email, and I'll be more than glad to send you that information. But at the end of the day, all those usually means is that you still need to have a game plan on how to handle your reduction in income. So what does that look like? What is your number? Do you know how much money your family needs to survive and or be comfortable? Do you know the number? Is it $4,000 a month? Is it $5,000 a month? If you don't know your number, then it's really difficult. Like, for sure, no. All I need to do is cut these subscriptions off, cut these investments off, cut this vacation account off, cut this, and all we really need to hunker down is $4,000 a month. So if I'm getting unemployment and that's $2,000 a month, and I'm getting this, that, and the other, somehow, some way, we need to just fill this gap. How are we going to fill this gap? And go at it that route. Or we need to cut other things off. So you need to know what that number is. So part of what my website is about is trying to help people figure out that number, and also trying to help you make decisions so that you don't prematurely go above that number, right? So that the outflow of expenses doesn't exceed that. You want to be careful about that. So what I would implore you to do is obviously subscribe to a brother's website, right? So subscribe to my website. Uh, if you do, you go to thefinancialeffect.com. Here it is right now, thefinancialeffect.com. When you subscribe, you're going to get three things immediately through the email. You're going to get a budget worksheet, a financial planning worksheet, and a debt reduction Excel worksheet. So for those people who are in debt, it's basically you can put all your debts in, and there'll be like a little snowball effect that you can create. So it'll tell you how long it would take you to pay off your debt. So that's a very helpful tool that you are able to use. So what we're going to do now is kind of get into my system. I'm going to go really fast on this. I mean, not too fast, but I mean, we're going to go fast. However, if you have any questions, at the end of this will offer my ebook half off. The ebook actually goes into everything that I'm talking about in greater detail. Again, the emails, if you subscribe to my website, those emails also describe what I'm about to talk about in greater detail. And again, you are more than welcome to hit me up, and, and I can answer some questions for you. I'm more than glad to do it. So as you see here, this is just a regular old budget worksheet. But I want to point out to you, there's a couple of things that I have highlighted, and obviously those are highlighted on purpose. And so in yellow, you'll see that you have groceries, personal goods, entertainment and dining. You'll have clothing, transportation, maintenance. All those are highlighted. I want you to remember this. The yellow is your variable spending account, okay? It's a variable spending. Anything that's not highlighted is typically your fixed spending. So what we're trying to do with this budget is have you separate your fixed spending versus your variable spending. Variable spending is you can estimate how much gas you're going to get per month, but that changes, right? Right now it's changed a lot, right? Most of us are at home, and so we have more spending in the variable because we're not spending as much on gas. You're not going to buy the same amount of clothes every month. Groceries are going to go up and down depending on how much you eat. You know, so those are, how much you go out to eat. Maybe, you're not going out to eat as much. So again, that is a variable thing. Maybe you don't go to Polite Provisions as much, this month or whatever the case may be. So anything that you are standing in front of someone and can hand them a debit card is typically a variable spending. And anything that you can set up on automatic withdrawal is fixed spending. Okay, so that's your yellow. The green is a huge one for us people who have children. So if you don't have children, this is more of a fun account. But I like to call this account, you'll see in the green, the pay cash account. Pay cash account is so huge. It's such a lifesaver. Sometimes people even switch this pay cash account into like 2 to 3 different accounts, right? And the green one is the savings account. This is for children's activities, yo. This is for Christmas. Christmas comes every year, yet somehow, some way we forget to save for it. I don't know, or budget it out, right? So like we need to like have an account that we put in a monthly amount, $400 a month, $300 a month for kids' activities, book clubs, summer camps, uniforms for sports, things of that nature. Big ticket items. When your spouse comes home and wants a new iPad or those jet skis or whatever the case may be, we can create a savings account specifically for you to buy cool stuff, right? And again, think about it like this. You got a spender and a saver, right? The spender wants cool stuff, right? to create memories. Maybe they want jet skis so they can take the kids out and like do fun stuff, fun activities that they're going to remember that day for the rest of their life. And the saver just needs to feel like, okay, well, we saved up for these jet skis. So cool, no problem. Go get the jet skis. It's a different conversation that you get to have when you put money in the account on a monthly basis. This money is for us to spend on kids' activities and big ticket items. As long as there's money in the account, I get to spend it. We get to create the memories. And then, of course, down there I have in blue, like savings. That's emergency savings, right? You should fund your emergency savings account. And then in purple, the fun travel account. Oh, the travel account, right? So it's kind of self-explanatory. If you want to take vacations, you fund a travel account, right? I don't know if it's going to be 2,000 a year, 3,000 a year, 5,000, 1,000. You're going to do stay vacations. During times like this, no one's traveling. So again, if you needed some extra money, you could pull it from the travel account, or you could save up for an even bigger vacation for the makeup for what the pandemic stole from you. However you want to do it. But that is what the travel account is. So what I did is I did like a little chart here to kind of describe it for you. So you have a main checking account. It's called the distribution account. All right. So the distribution account is what it distributes the money, right? And as you can see there in the graph, you got 2 paychecks going into it. So your paychecks go into this main checking account. All this is your fixed spending accounts, all the non-highlighted stuff on the budget, right? Automatic withdrawal, this, that, and the other, right? And it's going to set up automatic transfers to all these different accounts. So you have the necessities account, you have the pay cash account that I talked about, you have your emergency savings, your travel account, and if you need it, the debt account, right? So if you have credit card debts that you're trying to pay off, you want to set that up. So what I want you to kind of make note is the distribution account is a checking account, the necessities account is a checking account, the debt account is a checking account, and the pay cash, emergency savings, and the travel account are all savings accounts, okay? Because at the end of the day, you're not traveling every day, right? And the pay cash account is supposed to be for big ticket items. So typically you don't have to pull money out of that. And if you're really spending it on children's activities, maybe pay cash can turn into a checking account. It's not a steady, fast rule. But you want to have these different accounts so that, again, you know that, hey, X amount of money goes in the distribution account. And you know what? If you notice, after all your fixed expenses go out, that the distribution account is growing, right? You shouldn't have a debit card to your main checking account. So you should not be spending variable stuff out of that main checking account, right? So if it's growing every month, that means you have excess money. So even though you make, $5,000 a month, maybe you only need $3,000 a month, right? So after you distribute everything. So that's how you kind of figure out what your magic number is. How much money do you need to have? And then on top of that, when you get pay increases, you can separate that money. Now, I normally do it with my clients when they get pay increases by increasing their investments, right? So when they get $1,000 increase, I can say, well, you don't need that $1,000. So we can increase your investments, or it's a family discussion with me included, of course, where we talk about maybe increasing the necessities account or increasing the pay cash account or increasing the travel account when you get a pay increase and increasing your investments. It makes for a more logical discussion versus, well, I got $1,000 increase. And then like 2 months later, that gets soaked up back into your spending habits. And now you can't live without the $1,000. Like, how can I live off of less money? I don't know. It was just 2 months ago that we were, but now I can't, right? The other thing is this helps you make decisions. So for instance, if the distribution account is not growing and you're trying to decide whether or not you can afford to buy a car and the distribution account is not growing, you can't afford the car, right? And then on top of that, you can actually practice owning the car before you actually buy the car. So how about this? Instead of buying the car, like most of us, and don't be ashamed of this, because me and my wife have done it in the past. You wake up on a Saturday morning and you go, we need a car. Ain't thought about it, ain't really discussed it. Next thing you know, that weekend, you out test driving some cars. By Monday, you got a brand new car. I like to plan about 6 months ahead and go, you know what? We might need a car 6 months from now. We're thinking we can afford $300 to $500 a month. You can increase the amount of money that you're putting to the pay cash account to the travel account for 6 months. Let's do $500 a month increase. And so instead of doing $200 a month to pay cash, you do $700 a month to the pay cash. Practice making that payment before you buy the car to see if you can afford the car. You can also do this when you're about to buy a home. What I'm trying to get you guys to do is not say the words, and I hate it when people say this, we'll make it work. Please don't do that. Please don't say we'll make it work. Because what ends up happening is that you'll make it work for about 3 months. And then that's how people end up in debt. Okay? By saying we'll make it work. Because we all have our habits and we get back to our habits eventually. And you stop making it work. So again, you set up the distribution account, and then you have the necessities account. On the first of every month, you transfer whatever you put in the yellow amount in that budget, you transfer that amount of money into the necessities account on the first of every month. That's you just giving yourself an allowance. And then on the 23rd, and you can pick whatever day you want, but I imagine most people get paid on the 1st or the 15th or twice a week. You don't really care when the money goes into pay cash or the emergency savings or the travel account. But I always recommend the 23rd of every month so that there's money in the checking account. Make sure there's enough money to fund those accounts. You make the transfers of, if it's $250 to the emergency savings, if you decided that you're going to do $3,000 a year to travel account, you transfer $250 to the travel account, and however much you need to the children pay cash account for the children's activities. And if you're in debt, just to go over this real quickly, if you fill out the debt section of the budget, and let's say you put $1,500 to debt every month, then you should transfer on the first of every month $1,500 into the debt account and have your credit cards and stuff come out of that new checking account of the $1,500. Why do I say do that? I say do that because that way you're consistent on how much money you're putting on your debt per month. I'm saying to do that so that if you end up paying off, I don't know, the car that was $300 a month and it made up part of that $1,500, now you can take that $300 a month and apply it to the rest of your credit card debt. Instead of you trying to remember, okay, well, what card did I pay off? How much were we paying towards it? You put all the money that you're putting towards your debt into that checking account, and now you can just, without even thinking about it, or cut up those credit cards and just keep making a consistent payment onto your debt a month. And then when you pay off your debt, guess how much extra money you have? $1,500. We can invest that money. We can increase the necessities account. We can sit down with your spouse and have an open discussion on how much money we have to spend. I have been using this system with my clients for 15 years. For the people who actually use this, they get out of debt fast and they don't fight about money as much. They're very clear about what they need to do, how much they can afford, and it just works. It just works. And it's the most important thing. It's almost like if I was going to teach football like Vince Lombardi, this is a football. If you're going to talk about finances, you start with a budget. Because at the end of the day, if you have a budget, now you know how much need to invest to save for retirement. You know what your standard of living is. You know how much it takes to fund your quality of life so that you can fund your memories that you want to create. You are more confident about these things. And so therefore, whether you are the saver or a spender, can really enjoy your life and really focus in on the self-improvement aspect of your life and focus in on the self-improvement aspect of your family, because you are not stressing about money. That means more massages, taking yoga, doing whatever it is that you want to do, and not having to fight with your spouse over it. I've literally had spouses count how many times they've gone to Starbucks. Like one spouse is yelling at the other one because they've been to Starbucks 5 times this month. Like, we don't want that. Like I don't want that. My mouth just dropped. Like, really, you are really just counting how many times, I'm all about saving money. Trust me, I am. But we don't need people counting how many times you go to Starbucks or anything along those lines. We also want to live life. So I will conclude, but I went through that really fast. Again, you can get my book right now. We got a promo code, 50 off 2020. So you can go to my website, buy the book, and it will go even more into what we discussed today. The other thing I will say is I am on Facebook and on Instagram. Again, you can also subscribe to my website. If you subscribe to my website, like I said, you will get the free budget worksheet. You will get the financial planning worksheet. And once you get that, there's an email that will tell you how to fill it out and all that other good stuff. It basically is that chart that I showed you, but in a worksheet form so that you can write down how much money you want to go into the necessities account, how much you want to go into the travel account, the whole nine, and then you get that debt reduction thing. And I don't know if I'm supposed to open it up for any questions or anything along those lines, but that concludes what I'm doing.
All right. Thank you, Armand. Let's see if we do have any questions. I'm just going to open the chat room and see if anyone has any questions. Go ahead and throw those in the chat room now, and we'll monitor that. While we're doing that, just to once again, thank you so much for that. I learned a ton. If you learned from this, please share this with whoever you think would benefit from it on the Hay Summit, the San Diego.localwellness today.com website. Armand has all of his handles on that website, so you can go to our website and click on that, connect with him. He also showed you his website, but if you missed it, we do have it connected, so you can connect with him that way. If you want to hear this again, it's going to take us a little while to upload it, but you can come back in and hear. I know sometimes for me, with money, I have to see things a couple of times before I get it in the head. That's what my husband would say anyways. But it was amazing. But yeah, if you want to hear it again, you can come back. We're 7 days maximum, but we're hoping to get it up there sooner than that, so you can listen again to the talks. And then Armand, if you want to drop any handles in the group chat, you can. I think I connected quite a few though into your Hay Summit link.
Shoot, I don't even know where the group chat is.
Okay, so in the middle, the bottom, there's a little chat window right next to your share screen button.
Okay, let's see here.
Well, I can tell you right now that nobody has answered any questions. People are saying, thank you, great talk, you're awesome. That was wonderful.
Okay, good, because I was like, I don't see anything. I'm sitting here trying to expand it right now, and I'm like, I don't see nothing. So there we go. Nope, I don't see nothing. But that's all good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
I'll be your translator. Well, thank you so much, Armand. We really appreciate you being here and all the work you put in. I appreciate all the work you put into that presentation. So thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, Armand. We'll see you. And we'll see everybody back at 11:30, hopefully, for our interior designers talk. And go ahead and sign off. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.